Welcome back to the Spector Creative channel, your inside look into the toy industry with toy industry veteran me, Toy Guru Neitlich. Yes, I've been collecting toys for my whole life and making toys for about 25 years, and today we're going to talk about orphans. Orphan toys, that is. Now, obviously, when we say the word orphan, it immediately probably conjures the idea of something like, a little red-headed girl and a dog, or a boy crying outside of a theater that just showed a Zorro movie that grows up to fight crime dressed as a flying mammal. Well, regardless of our cognitive schema of what orphans are or is or will be, what I want to talk about today is applying the concept of orphan and what the term means in the toy industry. And kind of means the obvious. It means a toy all alone, all by itself. Okay, I'm not going to sing. I wouldn't torture you that way. But it's all about how toys get to retail and why certain toys can't be sold to retail. And that's why it's important to talk about this. So let's talk about the train ride of how toys get to retail. Everything that is brought to a main toy store, to a big box store, comes to a toy store in a delivered package. And I don't mean just like a box. Obviously, they come in master cartons. What I mean is that they come as part of what would be called a package deal. When a big box store, a Walmart, a Meijer, a Fred Meyer, a Target, even Toys R Us, when Toys R Us was around, they would take product based on the amount of square footage it took up. So this would include multiple SKUs for the same property. So looking at Avengers here, you would start with something like your basic action figure, right, which is your sort of lowest price point. Then you might have something like a deluxe action figure. This might be a figure that is taller or physically bigger, like a different scale, like 12-inch. It might be feature-based, lights and sounds. It might have more accessories or be plussed up. And then you'll continue to go up that price point and up that purchase scale to something like a figure and vehicle combination SKU, which might be designed as a birthday gift, and then even collector SKUs. And I don't just mean adult collector, kids collect too, meaning more details and more authentic accessories, etc. And then not to forget the importance of role play. Role play is one of the biggest SKUs that are part of an all-encompassing program, and it's important to look at those because it's a non-action figure SKU, but it's sold in the action figure aisle. So you have figures, basic figures, deluxe, figure vehicle, but you also have role play items. And all of these hang together in what are called planogram foot segments. And a planogram can be anything from 1 foot to 6 feet to 8 feet. It's all done with a map, and it's all done by the book.
This book contained a map.
So planogram guides are created for big box stores so they know how to merch items. And a lot of times the manufacturers, whether it's toy or scented candles or carrot sticks or cheese graters, are going to work with the retailer on how many feet of space they want to allocate to a certain brand. Once that's locked in, the SKUs are selected that are going to fill this space. And that's part of what is the full program. So you're not going to see Target what you would call cherry picking, where they're just going to take, okay, basic figure, role play, and a playset. There isn't like a force of one. You're not going to have one SKU that's just going to hang at retail to represent a brand, because it's not the way retail is set up. Mom and pop stores can do this, but if you have one single SKU that is not attached to a program, you can't get it placed at big box retail, or even what was Toys R Us retail, because they all work with the planogram system that requires product to be shipped in feet. So something like this. I got this comment recently on my comments here on the YouTube channel about the Shogun Warrior Skeletor that Mattel is selling online through Mattel Creations. So great item and a cool way of reimagining Skeletor. And I had people asking multiple comments saying, well, why is Mattel selling this online? Why can't they sell this at retail? And this is a good example because it's a single SKU. It's not part of a larger program. It's just a one-off. And you could say, oh, well, you have Origins at retail. Can't this be part of Origins? And, long answer, yes with an if, short answer, no with a but. It's basically, Yes, it's also Masters of the Universe, but it's a different aesthetic, a different look. It doesn't look like the rest of Origins. Everything with Origins has the same look to it, the same feel. So you have a full program, play set on the bottom shelf, vehicle on the mid shelf, deluxe figures, and basic figures on the pegs. Something like this Shogun Skeletor, which is bigger than Castle Grayskull, where are you going to put that? It doesn't even fit on the bottom shelf. Castle Grayskull basically fits, and that's it. And there's not room for something like this. I mean, you could say maybe you could swap out Castle Grayskull for Shogun Skeletor, and maybe his feet come, unassembled and snap into place to make him short enough to fit in the box. Let's look at a better example. Let's look at G.I. Joe Classified. I know this has been the bane of a lot of collectors' existence the last year because they've been trying to find it at retail and they can't. And that's because, much like that Shogun Skeletor, this is an orphan SKU. It's one single assortment, one SKU number, if you will. There's not a larger presence like there was with Motu Origins back there. The reason is this was supposed to be part of Snake Eyes. It was supposed to be part of the Snake Eyes movie square footage planogram. It's why the first figure in the line was a Snake Eyes figure released at Comic-Con. This was meant to be kind of a tease that we were getting a Snake Eyes movie and a new scale. It was a plan that was very well put together, but it fell apart because the Snake Eyes movie got pushed out because of Corona. So with the rest of the product, the kid figures, the role play, the fig vehicles, all those other SKUs, while these are coming now that the movie's back on track, taking them out of the equation left G.I. Joe Classified as an orphan SKU. It didn't have a home. It wasn't attached to a full square footage planogram, even 1 feet. It was less than a foot. It was 6 inches. It was half a foot. So it was one SKU that was supposed to be pulled by a bigger planogram statement, meaning the Snake Eyes movie was pulling, Classified series to retail. Putting Classified alone is what creates an orphan SKU. Items that HasLab sells online, Hasbro, their HasLab program, things like the giant Unicron figure or the Sentinel or the sail barge, all these giant one-off items, while they complement retail items, they're still what would be considered an orphan SKU because they're one-offs. They don't fit in a planogram. But HasLab is the perfect place to sell them. So you have 2 types of orphan SKUs. You have orphan SKUs that are developed for retail, like Mattel's Back in Action 3-pack. This does not fit for retail. There's no Back in Action retail line with a full planogram. And that's good because they're sold online. That's where you can sell orphan SKUs. It's where you can sell items that don't have a full program that can bring them to retail. And then G.I. Joe Classified is sort of the other end of it, where it's an item that is for retail and was meant to be part of a retail program, but 80-90% of the retail program got pushed out due to the movie being pushed out because of Corona and all that. So it winds up an orphan SKU. So what is the solution to a lot of this? I mean, is it going online? In some cases, yes. I mean, with the Hasbro Pulse stuff and the Mattel Creation stuff and previously Matty Collector, absolutely. That was a great place to put orphan SKUs. At the end of the day, toys have to work together as a team. The role play, the basic figure, the deluxe figure, the playset, it all comes together as a program, and this is how retail buys into a toy line. They don't buy single product. Product doesn't wait around, looking for a ticket to get to retail. That's not how it works. You can't just, hitch a ride and have a single SKU show up at big box retail.
No ticket.
If you do that, if you lose your ride, you lose your movie, if you will, then you wind up with something like this, with G.I. Joe Classified hanging there all by itself, and other toys get hung on its pegs. Like here you have a Power Ranger toy hanging on what should be G.I. Joe Classified because there's not enough to make for the stock person to notice because there's not a retail statement. Without a retail statement, SKUs can't survive. And that's what makes a difficult situation even harder. It's hard enough selling in lines to big box store. Everyone's competing for that real estate. You only have, so much footage. All right, I hope this helped clarify what an orphan SKU is and why single SKUs can't just be sold at retail. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below. Always happy to answer. Thanks for sharing this video, and I'll see you next time.